Wassail. So, yesterday, although it will be a few days for you, I began these readings with higher dimensional beings. And I've been led towards Lirans and Vegans. And so I've laid the cards out and left them sitting here all night to connect with their energies, and I'll add tarot. I'm not sure which tarot yet. I've got the Lost Tarot of Nostradamus and I've got the Afro-Brazilian. There's a it's a kind of look, my guides are always playing jokes. There's a sense of great calm about this reading. This is like coming from a higher frequency than the previous three readings, and they've been hinting at the fact that there are other readings to come in this series. But for the moment, let's focus on this energy. And the bell today, apparently, to clear the space. Much of it's to do with I need to I need to settle my excitement, because the last three readings have got me all worked up. And so for this one, the bells are, for me, I'm not going to try and translate what they are unless something deliberately flies out. It's interesting, with all the lights I'm having to put on, one of the light bulbs is reflecting like the moon descending over the horizon of the sea that I can see in front of me. So anyway, let me try and calm my energy for this. See, at first, I was going to say that didn't work, but circulating breath and prana. This reading opened with three cards, which immediately put the reading into a different format to the other ones. It opens with the Ghost Dance and the Taming of the Wind. And this is 2255. So this is talking about master number energies, higher dimensional frequencies. We're working in master number energies. And it's followed by the medicine wheel. So 22, the Ghost Dance, is ancestral DNA trauma, lower world demons kind of energy. And Taming of the Wind is kind of fifth dimension energy of where we're heading, this new frequency, a new energy that's coming in, but we have to tame this vortex first of all. So if I just take these two cards, the medicine wheel obviously is what sets the compass points of energies that underscore, crown the past and moving forwards with spirit. Because the jaguar represents karma, as we know from the reading yesterday at the end. So this is what we're moving from. So the Ghost Dance is like corps de ballet that everyone in humanity has been dancing in, and then layered above that has been the principal dancers, and the principal dancers have been the ones that are given the fat paychecks. And everybody else has just been struggling to keep up with the dancing, and their feet are sore, and we've got bunions and broken toes and all kinds of things. But the energy that comes from this card is deeply calm, because the Lirans and the Vegans want to say it's this thing of everything is as it was meant to be, and that we have to move away from this notion of some kind of retribution or punishment for the people we feel have been holding humanity back. All of the people that have been the principal dancers or the divas have been doing exactly what they were meant to do, because this was the cycle within universal cosmic truth that had to take place to move us to the next cycle. Everything is in cycles. So let's just start with, I'm going to start with the Lost Tower of Nostradamus. They called me to it, but this deck gives me the heebie-jeebies because it's very it's not that it's difficult to read, it houses within it images that are a little bit too Catholic, and I'm not here to bash Catholicism, because as I say, it's not about this sense of retribution. Everything is as it was meant to be, but they do contain energies that don't exist in any of the other cards. So let's see what gives. It might be that I have to use the two different decks on different parts of the reading, but because this is about what we're moving from, these feel like older energies. They also have a habit of falling in blocks of about 12 cards. There's something about the production of them that's not quite right, which I kind of want to say something about the notion of everything in the past. It's like blocks are falling away. It's the energy of stickiness is what I'm getting. See, look, there's a block that's fallen out. Luckily it's only 4 cards. So you have to give me a moment with these cards because they're very, very tricky. Okay, so it begins with justice. But the most important part of this card is actually this single rose. And I don't know why yet. Flowers in the hand. It's like, this is the Justice card, but it's really resonating as a death and rebirth card. But that, thank you. So, death and rebirth is usually 13. And there's a sense I'm being given in my head unfolding that part of the energy of tarot previously is also rather distorted in its numerical frequency because it's from the age of Pisces that they were created, and that there's a sort of a need to renumber. So this deck has almost renumbered this as the death card, a death and rebirth, but it's calling it justice because it's an endless cycle. It's an 8, it's an infinity. It's talking about how the cosmos comes and it sweeps away to make space for new energies. And And this is why our ancestors, because this card does represent ancestors, this 2-2, and this is 12 frequency then, 8 and 4. So the ancestors are talking about how when we do shadow work, really was hoping that wouldn't come up in this reading today. Shadow. So when we do shadow work, we clear space for new energies because we see our fears and we unite them with our trust in the future and our love frequency, and that brings them together. And so then that leaves a brand new space for new frequencies around us. So this is about the ancestors talking about this infinite cycle that the cosmos brings, and this is the ancestors talking through the energy of the Lirans and Vegans, because the Lirans and Vegans, there's a sense of their frequency being, I want to kind of say original frequency, but even that's not true, because Elohim and Aquafarians were here before the great electric war that caused that cataclysmic busting up of all the molecules a long time ago and the shattering of everything. But again, that's another larger cosmic cycle that we can't even begin to get our heads around, and so we don't need to, even though I've asked about that before. So death and rebirth infinitely, forever. And then we have the Ace of Stars. Again, we've got scythes and knives. This notion of, look, this is not a blade of war, this is a blade of peace. This is a blade of surrendering to the destiny, the wheel of destiny. And I want to say that this card feels very much like it's the energy of 110, so the manifesting of destiny, so the surrendering to the destiny. But behind this card there's a massive there is this fiery, and we have got this fire card later, but this fiery divine fury, sacred rage energy of Aries, and Mars is in Aries at the moment, so it's kind of, I see I'm getting over animated. They're saying just keep calm, keep the level down, don't let the sacred rage overtake me. It's about recognizing the power of sacred rage, but not activating it, not bringing it into the real world. It's like the Mars energy is the molecules trying to come to terms with the changes in DNA frequency that are coming. You know, rage is only important in life when there's something to rage against, and where we're heading, there is no purpose in that rage, as we'll see as the reading unfolds. So that sense of putting down arms is what they're also saying. It's time to stop fighting on all levels, amongst all people. The ancestors, okay, so the ancestors, this corps de ballet that's trying so hard to tame the wind, can only tame it through our DNA, and we have to recognize the pains that they've all lived through to get us, their descendants, to this magical cosmic moment. And then we have the Seven of Globes, and I don't know what that means. But But we've got 7-7. Now this is fascinating. Sorry, that's what this purpose is. It's divine creativity. And this is about how moving into next year, because this whole reading is littered with sevens. We have later the child, which is 7. We have the standstill, which is 52, which is 7. We have the holy mountain, which is 25, and which is 7. We have this old frequency of 2255, so that's, you can make a 7 and a 7 by joining them up and keeping them as split numbers rather than moving them to 14 frequency. So this divine creativity of sevens, it's I don't know why it's relevant yet. We'll see as it unfolds. But this is about it's about questioning each other, not at this particular moment, but the seeds are being spread within us by memories coming up in our DNA, traumas that our ancestors experienced, incarnation contracts that were not fulfilled because they couldn't be. And the questioning is coming from this card here, forming a question mark. Why don't we rebuild a new future? Question, why do we not do it? Why do we keep allowing successive moments of possibility to fall? Because we were meant to. But it's different this time. Now is the time to enter into a discussion. And I'm being drawn to the fact that this person, this is about how we create the principal dancers and the corps de ballet, and it's time this person has stood up, realizing that they are equal and as important as anybody else who might think they're more powerful or more important. We're all equal in the eyes of Source, and that's the frequency that we're moving towards. So that's the removal of that energy. Remember, this is a reading of the Lirans and Vegans talking about what's going on with everybody else. So the medicine wheel. I'm not going to read this separately with tarot, I mean, but this is about shedding skins. Oh, that's so mad, actually. So we have karma in the past. What's underneath? The shedding of old skin, the old DNA, the old energies. We have a hummingbird at the top, which is about bringing our hearts together. And rather weirdly, the two cards sitting above the hummingbird are the arrow and the hummingbird. It's just, it's too beautiful in its perfection almost. The way in which the cards are resonating is truly wonderful. There's so many magical aspects to what the Lirans and the Vegans are doing, and they're saying to me, because what's coming will feel like magic, but we have to believe in that energy. So they want me to repeat something I said to somebody the other day about the healings and the changes that are coming. They said, that sounds very lovely, I wish I could believe you. You have to engage in the belief, because it's through our individual eyes that we all look at the reality that we create collectively. So if we keep looking at the world through the eyes of fear, through the eyes of drudgery, through the eyes of suppression, that's what will keep manifesting. And we need to start looking through the eyes of trust in the fact that there's a wonderful new energetic magic that's coming in. So what are we shedding? Now, I did say lower world demons, and when I shuffled these cards, because remember the mystical shaman cards I shuffled a couple of days ago on the Sunday, and did snapshot readings of them, and then I'm using these to trigger the additional tarot messages. But the two cards that came out under here is what's underneath the situation. Absolutely beautiful. Lower world, middle world. So what's underscoring this is this energy being shed, and this trapped old middle world being shed. I think it was yesterday's final reading number 3. It might have been 2, I forget, where the Tree of Life came up at the very end, showing the freedom of the new Yggdrasil energy, the new membrane frequency running through everything, helping to shift us all forwards. So let's ask about the lower world and the middle world. What's this lower world and this middle world? Try and give me simple cards, not blocks. Please, lower world and middle world. I'm wanting to say Nostradamus energy is also just slightly creeping in because of the use of these cards, and it's this message of time soup. So while we're here in this 2020 energy, there are aspects of us, aspects of our past, aspects of our DNA in terms of where it started to receive its particular blueprint that are scattered throughout the past and the future. So there are aspects hidden in our DNA that have already been lived in the future. And so they're kind of saying that that's why we need to surrender to the inevitability of the better future that everyone really desires to witness. Oh, and we have a little block fall. Oh no, actually it's just 2 cards. So we've got another 7. The 7 of stars now. So we've got the 7 of suns, the 7 of globes, and the 7 of stars. This is Mercury, and this is it's a constellation in the background, and it's Aquarius pouring down energy. The papal crown really, for me, when I use these cards, represents authority, and the ribbons that would usually fall down onto the body of the person are being separated, and this, again, we've got this flower being lifted into a new, it's a rebirth. The flower represents a spring. The flower represents a movement to something more loving, something more perfumed. There's very much a sense of perfume coming through. There's a sense of a regeneration of the soil as well in this card, and the energy of Capricorn is being pushed to one side, moving out. Sorry, I need to just getting this frequency of Pegasus here as well. Is it Pegasus? It feels like Pegasus, like a frequency of spirit coming in to sweep aside these old distortions that don't have a place in the future, and this is in our DNA. And then we have the 3 of stars. So liquid mercury is a very fluid metal. So what they're trying to point out with this is we think of metals as being solid, but they're wanting to say that on an alchemical level, there's all kinds of different standalone specials that disobey the rules, and it's this notion of trying to say to us that rules are changing, rules are capable of being moved, things that feel fixed can become fluid and slip through the gaps of the new energies. And we're hurtling into new parts of the cosmos with new formations. But the other thing about this is it's 7 and 3, which is 10 completions and new beginnings. There's something about this is again a reference to the medicine wheel, the compass points, the cardinal points, the point at which matter and consciousness meet, but it's about coming into a balance. There's Libra here, but the balanced energy hasn't fully arrived, and just coming in again is this notion of death and rebirth. There's a huge Scorpio energy at the side of this card. It's very difficult to read sometimes because it's covered in astrological star formations, but we have got Scorpio, but I'm feeling like I've got the tail end of Ophiuchus, which is the 13th sign, just slipping in here at the very top. And then there's the edge of a planetary pathway, a cosmic pathway, marked in blue and white lines, squares, changing to red and white. So this energy as we move from the balance point, which is what, the whole point of 2020 is 2020 is a balanced energy. And that's been the most difficult and uncomfortable energy because it's true Libran energy in that it has asked everyone to have a sense of judgment around everything that they know to be true, and then to slip like liquid mercury towards something new. And look, mercury is incredibly poisonous, and it has been used to poison the soil. Oh, that's what they're talking about. There's a kind of, it's this notion of the healing ability of the natural world that we are never giving time to allow to happen will take place. At some point we have to question everything about what has been to remove the toxicity and the poisons that have been existing in the frequency of the past, but they had to, so that we could reach this new energy. So what's crowning us? The arrow and the hummingbird. So a new energetic pathway. This is the seat of the soul, but I'm also getting that energy of Mars piercing through the molecules and atoms of our physical body to bring about a new energy of combining our heart chakras, because in all the previous times we've incarnated with a fractured heart, because that was the only way you could come into this particular world. That was the purpose of people coming down, souls were asked, do you want to be part of this? It's a moment in time where things will change. Would you like to have a role in this? And, you know, the entire population of the world said yes, and we're here. There's a sense, I know I'm going to leave that because it will bother a lot of people. Oh, sorry, the thing I didn't talk about, which was with these two cards, it's just they said numbers, numbers, numbers. So this 3136 that's sitting underneath us totals 13, and so this static frequency is being purified of its 12 frequency to 13. When you combine those two and apply this energy that's coming, you get that transformation. And this is 11. This is I want to say that this is partly 11 is the master number of the crystalline grid, and the motion of the sun as it moves between its active and non-active cycles, and I think we're on the 25th cycle since we've been tracking them, and that's every 11 years the energy and sometimes the poles of the sun switch, and that's interesting because of this frequency. The poles of the earth can shift too, magnetically. I'm not saying they're going to, I'm just pointing out the observation that next year, which is the judgment of the world or the transformation of the world, or the solar eclipses in June and December are the South Pole and the North Pole, and there is that sense of an adaptation in the Shaman frequency. So we're bringing our two heart chakras back together, and I was given a sense of, at some point, I don't know when, that's coming as we transform the earth. It could be in a decade, I really don't know, but there will be new generations of humankind, babies born with a ready combined heart as we move forwards, and that's really very beautiful. So let's stick with this Tarot of Nostradamus. Arrow and the Hummingbird, please. Arrow and the Hummingbird. Arrow and the Hummingbird. Lirans and the Vegans, please help us to understand this. Lirans and the Vegans, please. No, they've gone completely quiet and they've said change decks, so I will. So let me just rifle through these. We'll go with the can we please Hummingbird and Arrow? Hummingbird and Arrow. Hummingbird and Arrow. Okay. What's this one? Oh gosh. So the echo that they want to make is, I spoke earlier about the freeing of this bubble, and as the Earth receives its new heart frequency and we begin to join our two hearts together, what comes up from the Earth and goes into our soul is the new Yggdrasil energy. So it really is talking about this new growth. And around the bottom of the bowl there are offerings, and the tree has been tied and wrapped in a ribbon to honour the natural world, and that's That's the movement forwards. It's not just in order for us to catch the new spiritual frequency that's coming, we have to connect to the natural world, because we're made of the natural world. Our molecules are from the natural world, our atoms are from the natural world, and yet we're allowing this old authority to rule over the natural world. And now is the change when the natural world rises and parts the old frequencies. So this ace of wands came with the world. And this is 21. This is where we're going. This is the frequency that we're heading into. Sorry, I'm just looking at numbers again. So this is about, well, it's really just about tying ourselves into the natural world again, and working with the natural world and praising the natural world and watching the natural world and observing the natural world in all its splendor. You know, there are so many wonders in the natural world that we fear, even particularly tiny insects, because we don't understand them. But we need to find the Lirans and the Vegans are saying that you need to find whatever there is in the natural world that pleases you, that sings a melody to you, and give praise to it. I don't mean you have to tie ribbons around it, it's a waste of ribbons, but you tie your energy around the things that you find beautiful. Observe them, don't label them. Find a tree, it doesn't matter what tree it is, and you don't need to go on Wikipedia or anywhere Google searching to find out what it is. Appreciate it for its being. Don't seek to identify its life cycle. Observe it. We've got a whole year next year coming, which feels like it's a year where we have to move with the natural world with our single heart. So, Spirit, what's Spirit bringing in? These are very difficult energies to read because they are powerful, massively powerful. Fire and lightning. I actually feel like I want to throw up as I hold those cards. Let me look at them. They're really, I'm kind of wanting to turn away from them, and yet they're coming in from Spirit, and they're coming with the card of the staff, which is our power. I think that what I'm being sent and felt by the Lirans and Vegans is not my own energy, but is this collective energy of the fear of change. So lightning has a figure and there's a sword. Oh, returning to this sword, it's about, okay, so they're saying to me, it's interesting, I watched Rob's tarot the other day. Hello, Rob. And he's been picking up on this Lyran frequency, and he was talking about sacred rage and how swords are often seen as swords of truth and swords of, but this is talking, Rob, about this sword is like an Excalibur, which we call a sword of truth, and it's inside the solar plexus of this figure, but what they're talking about to me now is not this sword that, you know, Archangel Michael has a sword. Why? Because sometimes you need to defend things and poke things. But it's kind of saying, it's talking about, like liquid mercury again, it's talking about, but I'm not really sure why. Let's let cards explain it better. But it's definitely referencing what you've been picking up with your beautiful look. If you haven't watched Rob's given up the tarot cards, and it's absolutely beautiful and it's completely amazing, and it is lovely. I just can't let go of them. But he's doing the most amazing things. So fire. It's Rob's tarot. I'll put the link in. This fire is about seeing into the heart of inspiration. The fire orb is about a purification. You see, I'm getting magic flute now because they do a trial by fire and water in Mozart's magic flute, but that's probably just because it's quite nice music. But this is about, there's a face looking right into the heart of the situation in this card, and it's almost, it's like I'm being, it's a link of these two. There's something going on internally in the spark of things. It's so they're kind of saying something to do with this transformative creativity of 13 frequency is going to be applied inside our body, our divine blueprint, to bring around changes to our DNA double helix that's in this card. Give me a second. So this adds up to a completion and a new beginning. Again, we're on the end of cycles, moving into new cycles. So let's get some tarot on those. So can you please? I need. Look, please. I demand an answer, which they don't always give me. That's something else that I've had to learn over time. And quite often people write in and they say, why are you not? Because part of when, in my clairsentience, in the way in which messages work for me, notions are dropped into my head and then they unfold. Some of them don't unfold. Some of them unfold months later. But there's a divine timing on everything, and I'm an impatient bastard that just wants the answers to everything. So, is there any chance, Lirans and Vegans, of understanding a little more about this sword business? Oh no, that one didn't fall. It got called into my hand, and it's something about nesting, but that's not what the other two cards that we already have here are about. Oh, that was a big... Well, let's hope that they're revealing. Just give me a moment. So, we've got another 7. So, this fire this lightning, this sword, we've got the 8 and the 9 of cups. This is closing the door on all that was, and yet all that was comes with you because it's part of a memory. Okay, so it's like this sword represents thought memories. Thank you. And they're kind of saying that quite often we stab ourselves with the sword. It's like it's in our DNA. It's a memory of lifetimes of things. We can shut our door on it, but that doesn't resolve the issue. That brings us into heat and fire, and actually our true power, our connection through the spine and the DNA to connect to the new energies, is when we take the 8 old emotions as shadows and we bring them with us and transform them into a oneness. And then we have the Wheel of Destiny. Now this is interesting because it's the back of the card and it's this card, and here we have these 8 beads. Oh, okay. We always carry our shadows. We always carry our shadows. Inside urns, ashes, phoenix rising, transformative frequencies. Okay, thank you. And then we have the 4 of Pentacles, which is again about cycles, giving and receiving, darkness and light, flowing. This is about being in a cycle, and there's this curtain here is representing energies coming towards us in the lovely yellow, solar energies coming towards us that we're not yet allowed to understand, because we have to go through the epiphanies to get there. So if this was to be fully explained as a complete journey from the Lirans and the Vegans, they're saying this is why there are moments when you can't see the wood for trees, because you have to go and search for your personal Yggdrasil pathway, your route on your personal map. And then we have this 7 of Pentacles with the 9 of Batons. So the energy of this is, again, part of our spiritual growth is our connection to the natural world, to build around us. I kind of want to say like a Faraday cage of protection, but that isn't quite what it means. It's building the natural world into your auric frequencies by giving thanks to the natural world for all the abundance of things. And they want me to say, the Lirans and the Vegans want me to say, we have to change the way we produce food, farming, because there's something about the way in which we're farming that's a complete frequency distortion. Okay, so the next part of the message, sorry, this is a long one. We have 5225, stand still on the holy mountain. This is talking about that energy that was mentioned the 24th of December going into the 25th, when there's a moon conjunct Uranus. So you've got Uranus, Gaia, and then you have Mars. So this is our consciousness, divine feminine consciousness, divine masculine molecules, the moon, and then the earth, in a lovely, perfect lineup to bring this energy in. And it's a reflective energy of the rebirth of the sun a chance for all of us to move forward. And they want to say again that this is an organic process. It's about individual epiphanies on your holy mountain, bringing your own portals towards us. So can we please have stand still and holy mountain? Stand still and holy mountain. Stand still and holy mountain. Whoa, big spillage. Okay, Knight of Pentacles. Okay, immediately. Slow progress, individual progress, knowing where you're going, but that's part of what we're all working on in 2021. The motion forwards to a brand new beginning. We can't stop this motion. We are all cascading down towards this new energy. That's happening. It's inevitable. We have the Lovers, card 6. But this is a really interesting one because this is referencing to this notion of shooting your arrow to where you desire to be. Oh, there was a lovely bird agreed with that message. Is there any sense of okay, so we've got 676, so this is another 7 coming. This is the Chariot. This is like a kind of post-apocalyptic epiphany moment. This is honestly the most interesting chariot that I've ever seen. There are these kind of strange elemental creatures around, and there is a sense of if we force the process, if we push too hard at the process in an impatient way to witness something, it will kind of lead to a sense of trauma. So it's got to be this slow movement of the Knight of Pentacles who understands. So we've got this 676 acting again as a mirror point, because this is about transferring energies, frequencies being flipped, but because there's this honeycombing at the moment where we've all got our own individual realities at the sacral that are being brought forward, we all have the time to connect with ourselves in many other frequencies. I know that's going to sound very esoteric and cosmic. It's something I did in the very early part of the first lockdown, where they taught me to, and that's what this standstill is. Okay, you stand still to allow your separation from entangling your energies with too many people around you, and that's what 2020's lockdowns have been about, so that we can settle into our own frequencies and glimpse and witness through the astral world alternative realities, and we are able to slide and slip into these individual realities. So while I'm reading this now, tomorrow you may wake up in a different reality, and you put this reading on and it will be a different version of me from a different reality, because you've shifted and the message will have shifted. So that's rather lovely. But joking aside, it's about individual epiphany moments to get you to the future that you wish to see. Again, you have to believe in it. You have to shoot and aim. This is kind of now saying to me every night, review what you feel every night over this coming year. it's almost like they're saying that these energy portals are going to stay open for the whole year for us to move through the personal map that we have. You could say, I want to go from this, cross through this dark shadowy forest and come out there. But when you come out there, you'll be on a new map that sits over the top of it. There's new energetic membranes, but you mustn't rush because you don't want to create the energy of trauma. And this 7 is acting as the pivot point because it's to do with divine creativity. So the other 6 that we have is also talking about the balance of the natural world, the 6 of Pentacles being in flow, giving and receiving. There's a star constellation on here that I don't recognize in the form of the coins, and it's about making offerings to the natural world. I'm seeing kind of the little sort of epiphanal natural world palm tree explosions coming as we move individually through our own pathways, and then it ends with the opposite mirror. Sorry, I don't think I showed you that properly. There's 2 versions of you, and you can switch places with where you want to be, because you'll be doing the same thing in similar dimensions, but you can shift to those realities and cut away the old. So there's this other night is, oh, okay, hang on. This is about cutting away the past. That's really weird. They've just immediately switched the whole energy frequency to go back to this Rob's sword. The sword is a thought that's connected to our DNA blueprint, and when we pull out our sword, it's to cut away at the old thought patterns and to create the new ones. And here comes my friend the fly. And so it's flipping between these 2 energies. So what they are saying is, it's a reverse of what was said earlier. It's not about moving slowly. Moving slowly when the energies are racing us downhill is fear. The sword of trust rather than the sword of truth. And the sword of truth is your inner truth, your trust in the process. Okay, we got there in the end. That was difficult. And that might not make any sense. Then we've still got 2 blocks to do. I'm sorry about this. So we have the spiral, the child, and the hunter. So this is, I want to say these are fractals, and this is that pathway, like a spiral staircase of all your different layers of your personal map that you're working on to move you away from this 7, this stunted divine creativity of misery, and moving you into true creativity. And then the divine hunter, it's your hunting around for your inner power, your strength to grow up and become the emotionally stable adult, rather than being, as I keep saying, infantilized by going, oh, your poor inner child that was so damaged. Your inner child needs to grow up. We all need to grow up. We all need to be emotionally true. We need to, this is what this energy of the moon conjunct Gaia, Uranus, that's coming in on the 24th to the 25th midnight switch hour as the sun is reborn, is we've got to find a way to move authentically into our truth so that we can grow up emotionally, and hunt for the power that exists, that's hidden behind this chaotic distortion. So let's just give that a quick. Can we please have some tarot? You see, now I'm sensing this energy of speeding up. Not because I'm aware of the time, but like this, this Fool card, we're already being pulled in the direction, and there's nothing we can do to stop that. We need to go with it. So we have the 5 of chalices, 5 of cups, and this is Lirans. This is cat people. They're they're saying just this damage, you've got to knock it over. You've got to spill the contents of your damage. You've got to start doing the shadow work. I won't keep on about it. But when you do it, you get temperance energy. This is divine assistance. This is, I want to say this is like the wizard. He's got his little magic wand, which is his connection to the natural world and the Yggdrasil tree. And this is divine cosmic magic. Oh, how weird. Ah, there's a weird... Oh, it's making my whole body go funny. That was like an invisible fly on my arm, but it's inside my arm and all over the... Ah, it's really weird. So it's that energy coming in. It's going to make your skin crawl. Ah! Thank you. So the Lirans and the Vegans, through the assistance of the Syrians and the Palladians and the Orions and many others that will be yet to be read on, this is massive cosmic energy being brought in, but it doesn't happen until you spill the contents of what damaged you as a child. And then we end with the upper world, the sorcerer, and the owl. And this energy from the upper world is very much this frequency. You can see from the upper world there's this healing energy, this rainbow that's coming in and descending to us as spirit, as a change. But what it's talking about is how this card sometimes is a beautiful card and sometimes it's a dark card. Today it's a dark card because it's referring back to this original energy that we're moving away from and this frequency of the lower world demons. It's the old dark energy magic of, I want to say suppression, but they're also putting the word glamours into my head. Now, glamours, I know we say, oh, they're back in my arm again, on my elbow now. They're, so, ooh, now they're in my wrist. So they're wanting me really to get this message, and they told me this message before I started the reading, and then it slipped my mind as I've gone through. So this is about glamour. Glamour is an old form of magic, which is an illusion, where we wear an illusion to make ourselves more glamorous, and it became the word just to be attractive, but it's actually a frequency distortion. So a couple of years ago, I've always had a shaved head because I don't grow much hair here, and so for 3 decades I have my head shaved bald, every other day. And then a couple of years ago, I just suddenly, when I just have to accept who I am, what I am, everything about me, because that's also part of a healing process. You know, if people can't accept you for who you are, you're caught in this old distortion that you're not healing from, and the energy of healing is passing by you because you're still living in your glamour. And I want to say, or they want to say, it's even the notion of wearing makeup. You know, sometimes people will say to me, you look much better when you brush your hair. You know, I brush my hair when it's wet just to take the tangles out, but how I'm perceived matters so very little to me. And that's an energy we've all got to move towards, apparently, is to let go of judgment of each other through artificial glamours. Okay? So, what would you like to finally add? There we go. And there's the card of nesting. So, oh, okay. This is the Three of Pentacles. It's like we're sifting down from we've got those 8 that we keep with us as memories. That we always carry with us, but we're trying to bring it down to the essence of oneness within ourselves. We've got to spill open the damage, the traumas, and pour over the ashes so that we can rise like a phoenix. And here we're coming into Nikola Tesla balance frequency of having our understanding, but it's also talking about the sense of building new relationships of love, and I really mean building a new relationship with another person. Look, if you're in a relationship, maybe the relationship will adapt and change if you're both doing this work, but this is really talking about people coming together in a new higher frequency. Look, there's all these birds, and they are little tiny hummingbirds in the background of this card. And we've got the elementals again, and we've got 2 fish rising across here. And that's about coming into an emotional pre-incarnation contract energy frequency. And this is a new the energy that's coming off this card is so joyous, and then it's about coming together to build nests, to build new lives, to build new homes with each other, and assisting each other. It's not just about a higher frequency connection of love with one other person, but it's talking about how working together in the greater community will also start to move forward. And they're referencing me back to that card at the very beginning that we had about building new communities, questioning why are we not doing this, because we couldn't before, and where we're heading we can now. So just to end, we're going to take the Mystical Shaman deck and see if the Lirans and the Vegans have one last card, because we're on, oh look, over an hour. So do we have, please, there we go, a new earth. Everybody on an individual basis and the earth emerging into a new frequency. And it's 17, it's 8, which is change, and that's exactly the same number that we ended with here, the 3 and the 5, the 8, this rebuilding of everything as we move forwards. So I want to say welcome to the new earth, but actually it's welcome to the divinely created earth that we're making, moving from all those sevens into that element of change. Okay, so that's very beautiful. Anyway, that's the Lirans and the Vegans. Let's see what's coming next. Wassail.